Hi friends, I hope you're having a great day. Hey, this is not going to be a makeup tutorial or anything else that's that much fun. The fun part is I get to talk about one of my daughters. And I have had this on my heart for really actually a few months to talk to you about what it's like to have a special needs child. And I don't have anything prepared. I don't have any notes. I'm just kind of going raw from emotion. The only thing that I have done to prepare for this is pray. So I just need to be realistic. I don't know if this is for somebody that's out there that needs to hear it. I don't know if this is for Marley when she gets older and maybe she'll be able to understand it. I don't know if this is for myself just to get it out there, kind of like writing in a diary or something. But I have just felt in my heart that I'm supposed to share her story and kind of talk to you what it's like. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit background story about our daughter, Marley, who is 9 years old. She came to us as a foster baby because my husband and I were foster parents for 6 years, and she came to us as a respite, actually. We just watched her here and there and actually had a friend who cared for her. When we got the phone call to be her foster parents, we were actually trying to adopt another baby that had just been born like 24 hours ago. But that fell through. But we did respite care for Marley. We called her Peanut because that was not her birth name. So I just nicknamed her Peanut because her little head was completely bald until she was over 2 years old. And her head was shaped like a peanut. Like it was like smaller right here and bigger up here. She was born with hydrocephalus, and she actually is a drug and alcohol baby. She spent 2 weeks in the NICU, withdrawing from marijuana was in her system, meth, and I think that's it. Like, that's it. It's like huge. But I think it's just those things. Um, so I did not know her then. That actually breaks my heart a little bit. I know that the nurses at the NICU are absolutely amazing. And if I had life to do over again, like if somebody said, what would you do now? I would definitely say I would be a NICU nurse because I love taking care of people. I love everything medical. I think it's awesome and so intriguing. Um, and I love babies. So I definitely would do that if I had another life. No, I don't. Do I want to do it now? No, I don't want to go back to school. So people are like, you can still do it. You're only 42. But no, it's not my passion to do right now. But if I got to pick a different career and grew up again, and I would probably do that because I think I would love it. And someday I'm going to be one of those grandmas that rock babies in the NICU. That I'm not old enough. They won't let you do it until you're like 55 or something. But I'm like, I'll come do it. I can do the weekends or evening shifts, whatever. But I'm not old enough. So someday, which I think is amazing that they even let you do that. I think I just went down a rabbit trail. Back on. Anyways, Marley was in the NICU, and that kind of breaks my heart because there was no foster parent or mother or father or grandparent sitting there holding her going through those 2 weeks of withdrawal. I do know that some nurses have told me that even on pretty severe cases like she had, they don't actually let a lot of people hold them and stuff. I guess it's the stimulation. They don't either like it or it's hard on them. So, because they just need a withdrawal. And if you have not seen a video on a baby that's withdrawing, I'll link it below. Let me warn you before you watch it that you're going to need tissues because it is horrific to watch a infant withdraw from drugs. It's not their fault. So it's just absolutely horrible. So I'm going to link that below if somebody wants to watch it so you just know what a baby goes through when they're withdrawing. Maybe there's a teenager out here that might eventually watch this and not do drugs or alcohol or smoke or anything when they're pregnant. Maybe that will happen. So anyways, she was in the NICU, and then they called us and said there's a drug and alcohol baby that needs a home. My husband and I were medical for foster parents. We always took only kids that were age 2 and under, and we took medical kids. And so actually we couldn't because we were trying to adopt. So a friend of ours actually took her in, and she also had our baby that we were trying to adopt, the one that was just born. Anyways, that fell through. And so every once in a while we'd get phone calls and she'd say, hey, can you watch her for 2 or 3 days? And I would say yes. And then can you watch her over the weekend? And I would say yes. And we absolutely loved her. And it was funny because all of the foster babies we've ever had, I have loved, but I just knew there was something about her. And I didn't know that it was because she was going to be ours. I really just thought she was so adorable and she looked like a baby doll, and people would stop me and ask me in stores. I remember at Old Navy, an older lady coming up to me and asking if I was holding a baby doll. And I was like, nope, it's a real baby. She never cried. She was perfect. She was a perfect baby, perfect infant. Like anybody that would have that infant would be like, let's have 17 more kids because this is amazing. And she was just, oh, her brown eyes and her little chocolate chip on her cheek. And I'm going to insert some pictures. So you guys can see her if you don't know who she is. So you can kind of get to know who you should be praying for and who Marley is. So anyways, we were actually on vacation and we were supposed to watch Marley for a long period of time, like a couple weeks, because her foster mom was actually having surgery. And we were like, yeah, absolutely. So we were on vacation. When we came back, we were supposed to get her. So on our way back, we actually got a phone call from the foster mom, and she said, I've really just been praying, and I feel like you're supposed to keep her. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, I feel like you're supposed to be her full-time foster parents, because if she becomes available and up for adoption and her parental rights are terminated, then you guys would have first dibs on her, which basically here, I don't know if this is everywhere, but here, if you have a child in your home and they're in the foster care system after so many months, if rights are terminated and reunification did not happen, then they will look at the foster family first. So I was like, okay. So I hung up the phone, which scared me to death because we had already had a failed adoption and I was already feeling something for this baby more than any other foster baby. So it kind of was scary. But after praying, God was like boldly saying yes, because he had just walked us through some really heart-wrenching hard times about falling in love with this baby we had never met. And then our hearts being broken when the birth mom changed her mind. So I was thinking, well, if God wants us to do that again, if God just wants us to love on this baby at this time, then that's what we're going to do. So we said yes, because we boldly felt like God was asking us to do that. And we became her full-time foster parents. And every single month I would go to court. And every single month her mother would test positive for drugs. And she would check herself in and then check herself out to rehab. So we actually had a mediation meeting with her mother. It took 18 months before rights were actually terminated. So I can't, the timeline is like, but every single month we end up in court, and I had anxiety every single month. But anyways, we had this mediation meeting, and I slid a picture over to her that was a picture of Marley that she actually was taken at a daycare. And we just kind of talked a little bit, and she had a couple tears. And she said, I know that you love my daughter, and I know that I cannot give her the life that you can, and that she wanted to sign over her rights. Now, termination was actually coming up within that next 30 days, so they actually just went ahead and did both. You know, it was kind of like one of those when we're terminating your rights through the state, as well as you're signing over your rights, so, you know, it's clear. So we're like, okay, so we went ahead and just adopted Marley, and it was amazing, and we just knew that God had called us to do this, and it was amazing and just wonderful. And even through all the hard stuff, it was just great. Now, when we adopted Mason, our 15-year-old, they also told us that he had fetal alcohol syndrome, and he has no effects from it. They told us that when we adopted him, and that some things might come arise when he got a little bit older, more like preschool to kindergarten age, and nothing ever did. He's actually still a really good student. So they warned us about the same thing for Marley. And we were just like, yeah, okay, we'll watch for those things. And we did. And she seemed to be hitting on the milestones, like crawling, sitting up, eating, swallowing, walking. She did a little bit late, but I mean, after all the kids that I've had in foster care and all the kids that I've ever babysat or known, it just doesn't matter. You know, like that, it can be a very big difference in time frame for milestones. So she did walk late, and she was learning her sounds and just all these things that things just seemed to be going well. We did notice that she really never cried. Like, I can't tell you a time that I remember her ever crying except for, I think when we did her birthday pictures, she was 1 and she cried. And I think it was because she was hungry. But other than that, like if she fell down and hit her knee or bumped something, she never cried. So to us, we just thought she was just happy-go-lucky laid back baby. I was trying to say lazy and laid back at the same time. Well, she's both of us. So we call her spirit animal the sloth, which we'll talk about that later. But I just kind of had this like concern, and a friend actually brought it up to me and said, I just noticed some of the milestones that she just, I mean, does she ever cry? And I was like, no, not really. I mean, we just thought she was a happy baby and laid back. And so anyways, we started noticing around 2 that she was not doing the same things that other 2-year-olds were doing, but we kind of, okay, waited till she could thought maybe she's just like delayed a little because of these things, and got to 3 and things were getting worse. And then we got to 4 and just things just kept getting worse and worse, and noticed she's not meeting these milestones. She would learn something and then within 24 hours it'd be gone. She always, since she was at least 4, always acted anxious. And I thought, well, maybe she's got like ADHD or something, which she has that diagnosis. She has a whole bunch of diagnoses. And let me tell you before I just continue on that there's a lot of people that say, tell your story because it gives knowledge to others, and there's hope and there's testimony in our story. And I've also had other people have said, don't share that because it's personal and you don't want to hurt her and those kind of things. And I have boldly been told by my God in heaven, you need to tell her story. So I will not listen to the people that have told me not to tell her story and not to tell like diagnosis or personal things for fear, because God didn't give us fear. So I have no fear that this is going to hurt her or harm her. To be honest, she doesn't understand. We've told her about being adopted and her adoption story multiple times, and she just doesn't understand. So I do not feel in my heart that this will hurt her to tell her diagnosis. I feel like it's going to teach, and that's what I'm going to hopefully do. So anyways, we noticed a lot of these things, and some of those things they won't test until a little bit older. So we started doing testing and just asking her doctors, questions, and we started doing all these things. Maybe she has ADHD. Maybe she's just delayed a little bit, and started going through. And as she got older and older and older and older, it was just one thing after the other. She started ticking. She started having Tourettes. She was diagnosed with Tourettes. She would like hit herself, repeatedly, or she would tick her head back. She also did one where she ticked her eye a lot, and then she would be sitting in the back of the car and just be looking out the window going, and just over and over and over and over and over again. And I was like, okay, what's this? Now the ticks, obviously I've seen people with ticks before. So I was like, okay, she's got ticks. So we went to a neurologist that somebody highly recommend, which she's amazing. She's at, Children's Mercy North, and we call her Dr. Jamie, which is her first name. So if you're looking for a neurologist, she's actually wonderful. I hope my light is not going to burn out. It's flickering. Okay. So they diagnosed with Tourette's because Tourette's is like, it's not always you cursing things like you see on Male Chigolo, which I want to say some of those so bad, but I won't because it's inappropriate, but it's funny. So she was diagnosed with that because if you do a mouth or a noise tick for over a year, whether it's verbal or it's just a noise, they will diagnose you with Tourette's. And she is on medication for her tics and that. And it has helped so much. It took us a long time to find out the right diagnosis and the medication and dosage of the medication, along with all the other medicines that she's on. So, and that is just, it is just so much to take on as a special needs mom. Marley does not bond with anything. Nothing. Not with me, not with her siblings, not with friends, not with her service dog. It was one of those things when we went to get her service dog, we drove to Texas to get Cece, and Marley immediately was like, oh, dog, wanted to pet her and that kind of stuff. And we've been searching for a service dog for about 12 to 14 months. It took us to find Cece. And I just kept saying, I don't need something else to take care of. I need something to help me. And I'm not kidding. That dog has not only helped Marley, but she has helped me often. And she's helped other people out in the community as well. But when we got there, I am such an animal person that I wanted to walk right up to Cece and start petting her because it's a dog. I mean, I see somebody on the street and I will talk to the dog before I talk to the person. The twins are out there, so if they come in, we'll just pause and keep going because that's my life. So Cece walked right past my mother and I and went straight to Marley and just leaned on her, like put her head into her hip and leaned on her. And we knew, I was like, oh wow, this dog has bonded with Marley. Marley has never bonded with a dog. And people say, oh, you just have to wait for the right bond. But they don't understand Marley doesn't bond. So we did a podcast with a friend of mine, and if I can, I will link it below as well, that talks about just struggles with women, depression, anxiety, being an introvert, being a special needs mom, having teenagers, just a couple things. So I'll link that below as well if I'm allowed to, and you guys can listen to it. It's amazing. If you don't think that Satan is always in a corner ready to steal your joy and to take away from something that God has asked you to do, you are wrong. Because for my power just to go off, I could have been like, this isn't going to work today. Not today, Satan. Not any day. So anyways, the bonding thing, Jamie teases her more. She will tease back, but even when it's serious, she just doesn't know when, like the cues to like, we're done, or if he's being serious with her. But he does really something cute with her, that if he's snuggling with another kid, he'll pat him on the back, and he's always had this thing that he tells Marley is, you're my favorite. And he was snuggling with Maisie, and this was like over a year ago, but I still tell people this, snuggling with Maisie and like patting her on the back and whispered in her ear, you're my favorite. And then he looked over at Marley, winked at her, and then pointed and said, no, it's you. And she just kind of does a, like a half grin. So it's just, that's a cute little thing. But when it comes to like full on bonding, no, unfortunately. And that's very, very hard as a mom. I don't care if you're a bio mom or if you're an adopted mom or you're a foster parent. You bond with every single child that comes into your life. The kids that I've babysat, I have bonded with. Like I can't, like my heart just has a piece of each one of them that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. So to have a daughter who is like, I could really care less, and it's not that she does things on purpose to hurt my feelings. When she becomes a teenager, I don't know. I don't know what tomorrow holds. I don't know what it holds when she's 12. I don't know what it holds when she's 14. That's actually too scary to think about. So I just have to go day by day. My mind wanders there sometimes because I need to kind of prep for some things that might come along as a teenager, if you know what I mean. And so I have to, but I can't live there. I can't stay there because that's just darkness, and I can't go there. But people do not understand unless you've been there. And one special needs mom is not the same as another special needs mom. Now, we do bond often on certain things, but do we get together and bond on them? No, because we're at doctor's appointments. We're at therapy appointments. We can't leave because our kid can't handle the public. We can't go to certain things because our kid can't handle it. If there's a change in the routine, it's going to throw them off, so we can't go. Or there's going to be this kid and this kid there, and she can't handle that because it's too much. There's a lot of things we have to say no to. Her diet is so strict, and we've just been doing that within the last almost 2 years. It has changed night and day for her. We tried all the diets. We tried dairy-free, we tried sugar-free, we tried gluten-free, we tried, basically if you've thought of it, we've tried it, and none of them worked. And medications, like up and down, up and down, up and down. One doctor said, I want to take her off all of her medications. I want to see her raw, and then I want to go from there. We had to take her off medications for 2 full weeks. It was like living in hell. I'm pretty sure hell looked like that. She was mean. She was raging. She was ticking. Her anxiety was so high that if you opened up a door or came into this room, she would, I don't know what causes that. She has vestibular issues. She has global delay disorder. She's recently been diagnosed with autism. Now, does all of this stem down from her having chronic fetal alcohol syndrome? I don't know. Does she really have ADHD? Does she really have depression and anxiety? Does she really have global delay disorder? Or is all this like, here's like a bubble of chronic fetal alcohol syndrome, and she has every single one of these things from it. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know. So I just don't give up, and I just keep on fighting, and I keep on researching. Her starting this diet really has helped. Unfortunately, she's lost a lot of weight, and I know that she's skinny, so don't be talking behind my back about how my daughter's skinny. I know that. I see her every flipping day. I know how little she is. I hear you. Don't act like, oh, she doesn't know that we're talking bad about her or how little her daughter is. I do know. I'm full aware. And so is her doctor. Thank you. So we put her on basically keto, and without the limitation is she can have all the fruits and vegetables she wants. She's not trying to lose weight. I mean, she lost weight with it, but we're not trying to make her lose any weight. So her doctor just mentioned the more healthy fats that you can get in her, the better her brain function is going to be. And he was right. And we have spoke to multiple doctors and kind of mentioned that, like when we talk to new doctors, we say the same thing, and they're like, yeah, that's true. So we shove as many healthy fats as we can. And the girl loves them. So that's totally like coconut oil, nuts, avocado, anything that you can think of that's a healthy fat. We give her as much as she wants. She eats probably a minimum of 1 avocado a day because she loves them. But anyways, I put coconut oil in her smoothies. She eats nuts for a snack at least once, sometimes twice a day, because we don't care about the calories in those things. But she did lose too much weight, and the doctor was like, she needs to gain 3 pounds, and then she gained 3 pounds, and then we went back, and then she had lost 5 pounds, and then they're like, nope, no, we not need to. So then I was actually giving her all of her meals, and then she was getting an Arbonne protein shake 3 times a day on top of that, and I would add like a huge scoop of peanut butter or almond butter in it, add coconut oil, and then I would put protein powder and a banana. I was trying to just put calories into her, and she actually gained 7 pounds. So we were like, yay! She's still super skinny. She's a twig. And on top of everything, this girl now has scoliosis, freaking scoliosis. Like, can she get a break? And she doesn't care she has scoliosis. It's me. I care. The doctors are so worried about her back. And I'm like, okay, what do we do? So, like, she needs one more thing. Really? Like, I need one more thing to help, to need to more doctor's appointments. Now she's, okay, so when we're in physical therapy for vestibular, because when a baby is in utero and they are high, they do not move the proper amount of seconds that they are supposed to move because they are high. If you think about people that are high or drunk or whatever, they are kind of like, ooh, slow-mo, yeah, that kind of feeling. That's the way she felt the entire time she was in utero. So her body, she has trauma. She has PTSD from being in utero because she didn't know when she was going to eat again. She didn't know whether she was ever going to be, feeling stable. She always felt out of whack as she was like actually growing inside her mother's womb. When somebody told me she had PTSD, I was like, isn't that for people that went to war? That's gone through some traumatic stuff? Like, surely my daughter does not have it. She's 5. And they were like, and then when they explained it to me, I'm like, it makes so much sense. Now I'm going to start getting emotional. I knew this was going to happen. So, because you don't see the baby, so I don't think you've bonded with it yet. I don't know. It's addiction. They're sick. I'm not judging her. I just wish she would see her. And people have perfect pregnancies, and they can have a special needs child. They can have absolutely everything go right the whole entire pregnancy. I'm actually thinking of my best friend Shauna and her sweet little boy Afton, who now lives in heaven. She had a great pregnancy, and he had special needs, and he passed away. So you just never know. I mean, I know that she has a purpose. Afton had a purpose. I know all these kids that have special needs. Like, they teach us so much. They do. They teach us so much. Marley doesn't worry about bullies. Marley doesn't worry about bills. Marley doesn't worry about like things that I worry about or other kids her age worry about. I hope she never does. And if that's because she has special needs, that's what it is. But it's like we went to this physical therapy because of her vestibular. She's totally off balance all the time. She only stands on one leg, probably why she has scoliosis, because that's where she feels stable. So a lot of things that they were doing to strengthen her vestibular is actually things to make her dizzy. So you would make her dizzy and then get her to like stop, and it's supposed to like strengthen that. Well, the girl can go on the Mamba and have a full conversation going down that hill. Like you'll be at the tip of the top of the hill on a roller coaster, coming down where your stomach is in your throat, and she's going, what are we going to ride next? Can we ride this next? What's for dinner? What are we going to have? Full conversation. So I'm like, does she even get that tummy tickle because of that? I don't know, but she freaking loves it. The bigger, the scarier, the steeper, the faster. She loves it. It's amazing. And I'm over here going, Mason, you want to ride that with her? So I don't know. So those are some of the things that we did to strengthen. And she walked downstairs like when she was little, like remember like toddlers kind of do one at a time kind of thing. She did that until like a year ago. And then horse therapy came around. And she had full-blown anxiety attacks for 2 weeks straight because she didn't want to go back to horse therapy. The girl has never ridden a bike. She always had to walk. She couldn't ride a scooter because she'd fall off. She would get on the bike with training wheels and even fall over on it. She rides a bike with no training wheels. And I swear it's through horse therapy. I mean, obviously it's through God, but it's through horse therapy that she gained that balance and the confidence. Thank you, Owl Hollow Farms. Like, amazing, amazing, amazing. There's a lot of milestone things. This is what keeps me going, y'all. This is what keeps you going. If you are a special needs mom, I'm not going to cry right now because I want to tell you every single one of those tiny milestones, take it and bury it deep into your heart and deep into your soul. So when those really hard times happen, when those times where you just, one more doctor's appointment, you're having FOMO because your friends are hanging out and you had to say no. When there's opportunities that came up and you can't go because your kid can't go, take those other small milestones or victories and bury them deep because you're going to need to pull them back out. You're going to need to pull them back out. And sometimes you're going to need a drink. And sometimes you're going to need to vent. And sometimes you're going to bawl your freaking eyes out in the shower because you feel left out. You don't feel a part. You feel so alone. Take one of those little memories out and remember, Marley, because, I'm going to have to get it together. Sorry if I'm making you cry. Okay, hold on. Okay. Now I sound like I've had a cold. Okay. I told you that we changed our diet to keto. I'm sorry, now I'm all stuffy, but such is life. And we really noticed an improvement about 6 months in. And we just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I just believed all this that the doctor was saying and the more research that I did. And I watched, I think it was a documentary on Netflix, and I can't remember what it's called. If I can find it or remember it, I'm sure it's still in there. I'll link it below as well, like at least the name of the show, and talked about, I think they were keto. And there's totally different things that you can do. And one thing might work for her, might not work for your kid. You just never know. And I have talked to so many special needs kids. I actually was just inboxing somebody last night that it was like, what medication does your daughter take? Because they sound a lot alike. No two kids are alike. You're not like me. I'm not like you. God made each one of us different. There's nobody here that's like me in this world, but just similarities. And so I'll tell them, because maybe it'll help, and maybe it'll help me. We tried CBD oil with her. We tried the gummies, and Marley's brain is like ADHD inside here. And her doctor explained it so well that if you're to say to your spouse, where would you like to go eat tonight? He immediately goes to the Rolodex and his brain to the food department. And he's going to start thinking Chinese, steaks, chicken, Mexican, always choose Mexican. Like all those things, that's what they're going to do. And to Marley's, if you say, what do you want to eat? She goes to the food compartment, and all of a sudden within 4 seconds, that's how long her ADHD is in her brain. She's not outwardly, she's not wild. In her brain, within 4 seconds, it's the Rolodex. She's picked up all of it. every single category, every single thing that's in her brain, and she's thrown it all over the floor. Cards everywhere. So there is food, there is sensory, there is anxiety, there is depression, there is animals, there is texture, there is everything you can possibly think of, colors, numbers, everything. And it's just thrown on the floor. So now she's trying to search for those things. Like, okay, where is the food? 4 seconds, click. Okay, starts to search for what do I want again? 4 seconds, click. Oh, every 4 seconds her brain goes, boop. If you watch her watch TV or watch a movie or watch anything, she will concentrate and look at the TV, and within 4 seconds, you can see her. She'll either look at the ceiling, look at the fireplace, look at the floor, or go to pick her nails every 4 seconds. If you ask her about what she learned at school, what she learned, my nose is opening up. I keep it together now. She doesn't remember. And it's funny because you can ask her 2 years ago what the twins were for Halloween and she remembers. And then if you ask her yesterday what she ate, she can't remember. Or even that same day. They'll say, what did you have for breakfast? I don't know. And that's often her answer is, I don't know. So what I was going to tell you about the diet is she has never read. Never. She has never been able to just sound it out or make it. Her brain just could not comprehend what's on the page in my brain and make it make sense. So ever since keto, and I'm not pushing this on anybody, I'm telling you our experience. My husband did it with her for like 6 weeks and he's like, I lost 7 pounds in like 6 months. He was like, not for me. But even though there was a lot of good stuff, those fat bombs, those chocolate chip fat bombs, holy cow, those are amazing. He was like thinking eggs and bacon and cheese every day. And I was like, yes, you're going to have a heart attack, but you sure are skinny. So we noticed that she started reading better. And I was like, she's actually like sounding that out. And of course, they're working with her at school. And then her personal assistants through Kansas City Regional Office, they're working with her. And we just noticed she was reading more and more and more. And I was like, wow, she was actually starting to read little books that had like 3 words. And then we had this app on her tablet that was the same thing. It would like light it up and she would read along and then turn the page and light it up and read along. And then you do it again and she has to do it by herself. And she was doing that. And I was like, oh. So just this last year, I actually had one of her older teachers send me 2 or 3 pictures of Marley reading to another class. Right? I know. So you earn these Mustang bucks and you get to spend them doing something. And she chose to read to her class from the previous year with her with that teacher as well. And so she thinks, no big deal. Sorry, there was somebody outside our door. I was waiting for the doorbell to ring. It's just kids. And, oh, well, they're home, so I'll be right back. I'm back. And I have Faith with her very stinky breath. Oh, yeah, it smells awful. She came to join me. Marley just got home from Worlds of Fun with Mariah, and so I was just chatting with them for a minute. So I was telling you guys before Marley got home that she got to read to her class and it was absolutely amazing. Like leading, like being a leader, sitting in front of a room full of kids and reading to them. And just that miracle alone is just huge. So when I got the pictures and I got the email from her, I immediately had the ugly girl cry. And I was just sobbing of just tears of joy of look where she is and look how amazing she's doing, you know, with the diet change, the right medication, the right therapist, the right doctors, just staying on track. And I never, ever want an atta girl or a pat on the back. It's very sweet when people are like, you're such a good mom, or I don't know if I could do that. First of all, I don't have a choice. Okay. So when you have a special needs kid or you have 4 kids, like some people will be like, I don't know how you do it with 4 kids. I don't have a choice. I don't know how you do it with twins. I have twins. That's how you do it. Hello, people. So anyways, none of it is like, that's not me. It's all him. Okay. So if you want to give any kind of credit for any things that Marley is doing, thank God. Don't thank me because I am too weak and I do not have the strength and I do not have the knowledge for all of this. I just pray and I research and I do all that I can because he has given me the strength to get through it. And believe me, not all day do I have the strength. So getting that, I immediately like sent Jamie a text and told him about it and then sending the pictures, and he goes, here's this grown ass man in a police uniform with guns on him, a badge, and he's crying because he has got this amazing news that his little girl is reading to a class. So she comes home at like 4 o'clock and I'm like, Marley! And I startled her, of course, like we think that's going to be like, kids are going to be like, yes, what? And she's like, what? And I was like, you read to your class today? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, you know what a big deal that is? Have you ever read to your class before? No. You read to your class today. Like, that's huge. That's amazing. We should probably go celebrate and get a Starbucks. Okay. That's the reaction that I get from her when she does something amazing. So I celebrate it with my girlfriends. I celebrate it with my tribe. I celebrate it with my husband. I celebrate it with my parents. To celebrate with her, she's just excited to get a Starbucks. Aren't we all? So I just wanted to kind of come on here and just tell you guys that being a special needs mom is the hardest job in the world, and the job never will end. I don't know what her future will hold someday when I'm not here. I don't know. Like I've said earlier, you can't go there. You can go there and think about things because you're preparing and you're like, will it be an in-home? I don't want it to be. Will it be with Mason? Because my sweet Mason has said so many times, Mom, I'm going to have enough money that she's going to live with me and I'm going to have a one-on-one caretaker for her. Like insert the emoji bawling face. Okay. So I do have to think of that because that's the way we prepare for our future, but I don't live there because that brings depression, anxiety, guilt, just bleh, ugly. Okay. The ugly in the dark. I've been there. I go there sometimes and I don't go there to stay because if I go there and sit for too long, then my mind starts to race and my heart starts to get weary. And then I lose focus on what God has asked me to do. And I stop fighting for her. And she can't fight for herself. I am her voice. And I just recently had a girlfriend reach out and say, hey, I just need some help. I need some advice. And she tells me what's going on. I give her my advice. I always tell her, your child doesn't have a voice. You need to be the voice for her. And when you're tired and you are beat down and you are having that day or that weekend or that week, it's okay. Go ahead and just let yourself have it because you need rest. My mom gave me some really good advice recently. My husband and I were supposed to go out of town for a business trip for him. And last time I went out of town, it was horrific on Marley. It was just ugly. She had pulled out all of her eyebrows, all of her eyelashes. And this is with Jamie here. This is just not with me because I am the strict mom for her. Like we do not stray from medications or diet or very often routine or just being with me or being at school. Like it's just because that works best for her. Well, I wasn't here and she was going from different places to different people to help take care of her. And she was just a mess. And Jamie and I have just booked a trip for our 20th anniversary in September. And I start to worry. I start to think about how is she going to be? I know Mason's going to be fine. I know the twins are going to be fine. But how is she going to be? Is she going to pull out her eyelashes? Is she going to pull out her eyebrows? Is she going to self-harm herself? Is she going to scratch herself? Like right now, she has scratched the tip of her nose off. It's just compulsive that she just can't stop. So, and she pulls her hair out. Just lots of ugly stuff. And I could go on and tell you, and I feel like I have told you a lot, but just hard stuff. And I just started to worry. Started thinking maybe we shouldn't go because she's going to be a mess and she needs me. And my mom just said, when you go out of town or things change, she's going to do these things. She's not going to die. And we're going to do our best to keep her from self-harming herself. But she's probably going to pull her eyelashes out. And she's probably going to grab some of her hair. And she's probably going to tick a lot. And she's probably going to be super anxious and maybe even, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the right word. Compulsive? But she's going to be okay. So we've got to go because it's hard on a marriage and it's hard on just yourself. So for anybody out there that maybe just wanted to learn about what it's like to be a special needs mom, or maybe you have a special needs kid and you just needed a little, it's okay. I see you too. I see you. And I've been there, and you are not alone, even when you sob in the shower, even when you're not going out with all your girlfriends because you just can't. And when your heart is broken because you weren't even invited because you've had to say no so many times. Still invite them. Just reach out to them. Do something kind out of the blue. I'm not asking you for this for me. I'm asking this for if you know somebody, because that person isn't speaking on it right now because they're in the hard or they're in the deep and they think they're alone. And so I'm saying this for them. If you know somebody that has a special needs kid, send them a text message that you're praying for them. Send them a gift card to Starbucks for $10. If you are capable, offer 2 hours to babysit. And there's some kids out there that I can think of that's hard, but it's 2 hours. To us, we feel guilty putting somebody in that situation because we know how hard it is. But you have to remember that we live it till we almost can't take it anymore. And for somebody else, if they offer and say, hey, I got your back for 2 hours, go to a movie, go sleep in your car, go to Target, take them up on it. If they are offering, take them up on them. Don't tell them no because you know what they're going to go through for those 2 hours. Just say yes and take care of you. That's really all I have to say. Is just, it is not easy. And we already know how hard it is to be a parent. So this is probably forever long, and I'm sorry about that. I just really felt like there's somebody out there that needs to know this. There's somebody that doesn't know, and there's somebody out there that has a friend or a family member that has a special needs kid, and now you know a little bit of probably how they feel, and they're not telling you because they feel like they're all alone, and you don't understand. And if you don't have a special needs kid, you never will. There's a difference between having like sympathy and empathy. So if you learn from either one of those, just reach out to them and just let them know that you're thinking of them, or keep inviting them. Keep inviting them. Don't stop because I've said no 10 times. They might just make up excuses. That's okay. Because sometimes when they go to bed, all we want to do is stare at a wall or have a drink or just go to bed. So just don't give up on them and just keep loving on them from afar. Whether you live in a different state or you live right next door. So I think that's it, guys. I feel like I'm starting to ramble, and it's really because I'm making sure that I've covered everything that God's kind of placed on my heart. I think that's it. All right. I love you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share because you never know who might need to hear this. I love you guys. Until next time. See ya. Bye.